We kick things off in a dark office, where a massive boss man is digging through secret files on a guy named Sung-hoon Kim, and the data reveals something hilarious. Sung-hoon is an alpha, but his pheromone levels are so shockingly low that he basically passes as a beta. As we scroll down, we see his childhood home, a pretty nice, above-average suburban house, but instead of being a good son, Sung-hoon was a total nightmare in his youth, blowing his entire allowance in college tuition money on wild nights out, partying, and flexing fancy sports cars. Flash forward to the present day, and he somehow managed to land a standard corporate gig, proudly wearing his employee ID badge in front of a giant office skyscraper, completely oblivious to the storm brewing over his head. Once the boss and his crew have every single detail locked down, they trap him in a busy outdoor cafe right in the middle of the day, under the guise of searching for Sianu. Sung-hoon is just chilling there in his blue and white striped pajama shirt when a massive hand slides a crisp white envelope across the table as a thank you token for sharing info on Sianu Lee. Sung-hoon, being a greedy idiot, taps the envelope and casually asks if Sianu has gone and racked up debt again, scoffing that he's probably hiding out in a host bar and complaining that the guy left him on read. Then, his inner dialogue gets incredibly toxic as he thinks to himself that maybe Sianu is just busy selling his body. Meanwhile, the boss is listening to this garbage with a terrifying, icy expression, but Sung-hoon just keeps talking, boasting that Sianu was his very first hyperdominant Omega. He laughs, sipping his ice drink through a straw, recalling the time he bought Sianu a single, cheap can of coffee, calling Sianu dumb to realize how much he was really worth. But Sung-hoon couldn't be more wrong because Sianu knew exactly what he was worth, and a depressing flashback shows a younger Sianu looking vulnerable next to a creepy older man while holding a liquor bottle. Sianu wasn't trading his dignity for a cheap can of coffee. He was genuinely offering his heart, forcing himself to choke down that trashy drink on a stomach already completely wrecked from forced drinking at his job. Back in the present, the boss is absolutely seething, his veins popping and his jaw clenching, as he admits he came dangerously close to ripping Sung-hoon's tongue out right there. But he stomps down the urge because dads need to have self-control. Sung-hoon, completely blind to his fate, just keeps giggling about how sweet it is to get something for free, sighing that he was just young and dumb. The boss's inner thoughts turn pitch black as he debates gouging his eyes out, before flashing a sinister smile and deciding to give this guy to Sianu as a gift. Welcome to the nightmare zone. The scene cuts instantly to a dark concrete room where Sung-hoon is tightly bound to a wooden chair with thick ropes, his mouth aggressively sealed with green duct tape, and a literal puddle of liquid dripping down the chair leg because he has pissed himself in absolute terror. The boss stands over him like a monolith, rips the tape off his face with a brutal rip, and ignores Sung-hoon's screams of "Why are you doing this to me?" Instead, the boss calmly rolls his eyes and drops the most unhinged, protective line ever. Sianu likes caramel lattes. You could have just asked, why the fuck would you get him king coffee of all things? It's high-end or nothing. Sung-hoon is crying and sobbing as this giant mafia man lectures him on premium coffee culture, yelling that he busted his ass trying to rebuild Sianu's confidence after Sung-hoon ruined it. Sung-hoon frantically bows his head, begging for his life, but the boss pulls out a massive wooden mallet, calmly explaining that Sianu asked him to bury Sung-hoon in asphalt. Sung-hoon stammers, begging to just talk to Sianu one more time, but the boss smiles a demonic smile, tells him he can apologize to Sianu when he comes back as a ghost, and crack. The chaotic nightmare evaporates into a warm, beautifully sunlit bedroom where the peaceful, domestic side of their life takes over. We see a gorgeous shot of a serene bedroom with sunlight pooling over a bed, and with a soft creak, the camera reveals Sianu resting peacefully on a lounge chair, gently cradling a tiny, adorable sleeping baby in his arms. Suddenly, the front door handle turns with a clack and a flinch as the boss walks in, dressed in a sharp suit, warmly announcing, "Honey, I'm home." Sianu wakes up with a sleepy blink, and when the boss asks if he was taking a nap with little Sianhwa, Sianu admits he dozed off while rocking her to sleep. Sianu immediately asks if he remembered the malatang, and the boss smoothly replies, "Of course, like I would forget," before boldly asking, "How about a kiss for a job well done?" and leaning in for a sweet, romantic kiss. The boss then hands over a shopping bag containing the special uniforms they discussed earlier, and though Sianu hesitates because the baby is right there, the boss gently takes the baby into his massive arms, whispers, "Let's go, princess," and carefully lays her down in her crib. Free to try things on, Sianu stretches with a big yawn, rustles through the bag on the floor, and finds one big uniform and one small one, immediately noting that the boss put a lot of effort into picking out a colorful outfit that screams young, fresh energy to compensate for his older age. Sianu slips out of his shirt and slides out of his pants, but just as he is half dressed, the boss clicks the door open, asking, "Honey, are you all dressed?" Only to stop dead in his tracks, gasping and covering his mouth in pure shock. Sianu is left standing there blushing, holding his shirt up to reveal his stomach and boxers. playfully teasing him that he was fast, while the boss stands there gulping hard, completely mesmerized by how different his first love looks compared to his memories. The two shift into hilarious, adorable chibi characters, as Sianu teases him for being so shocked when he was the one who bought the outfit, and the boss mutters that he wasn't expecting him to go completely pantsless. Back in normal style, the boss affectionately strokes Sianu's hair, asking if the baby is sound asleep, and when Sianu explains she woke up once but went right back to sleep, the boss smirks and asked what kind of magic he used, proudly bragging, "We had a talk, alpha to alpha." The boss then sweeps Sianu up into a massive, romantic piggyback-style lift, carrying him across the room, while playfully complaining that he had to tell the baby he has another guy crying for attention, so she have to learn to share. Sianu laughs, calling him out on his lack of generosity, but the boss just smiles, sets Sianu down on a table, and murmurs, "I just live to make you happy." The scene heats up, instantly, with intense blushing, heavy breathing, and a passionate, deep kiss as the boss slides his hand under the uniform, making Sianu completely lose himself in the moment, melting into the boss's touch and teasingly asking if they should count this as their official first kiss.